So good afternoon and welcome to the Director's Award ceremony. And before we begin and before Mike formally welcomes you, well, thank you. All right. I've got to say that this is the largest audience I've had the pleasure of speaking to in a concentrated area since before the pandemic. So I'm really glad everyone's here. I'd also like to say that this is a hybrid meeting. And so the session is being recorded. We also have enabled the live transcript for those of us who are joining online. Zoom chat is also enabled, and that's to allow the online audience to participate and share their congratulations with each of the awardees. So that's good. So everyone's included. And of course, for safety reasons, I just have a brief announcement about what to do in the event of an emergency. Follow the first few people that are leaving the exits. Number one. Number two, we'll assemble across the parking lot, and our emergency service people will direct us from there. And so without further ado, I'd like to invite the director to come up and begin the ceremony.
So I want to especially welcome, this is the one event per year where we have not just our employees, but friends and families of awardees here. So I want to especially welcome you here to on a very important day for the laboratory and for everybody who's joined us online. This is a very special occasion for us. We feel extremely fortunate to be able to work at this great laboratory in the service of our nation as we pursue these scientific solutions that we work together on and create a better future for the society, for the country, and for the world. But the most important part of the laboratory are the people who work here, who work with both the passion and motivation to work on these challenges, to do this great research and operation of the laboratory. And one of the things that is remarkable for everybody who works here is we have so many people with a broad range of talents. They're deeply committed to the mission of the laboratory and what we do here. And for the most part, that's why they work here. Today, we're going to recognize some of those who have had the greatest impact on the laboratory and the life of the laboratory, both bringing scientific solutions to the world, but also by creating the diverse and inclusive culture that we have here at the laboratory, and by stewarding the lab's research, resources, and people, by advancing technology, and of course, by driving our science. So the first award I have the pleasure of giving is a particularly important one. And I will say this is the first time our awardee, 3 weeks ago, he was getting an award at the White House. So this is a rather, so we realized we may not be I think they have more flags there for that. And certainly a more important people. But this award is recognizing the arc of Ashok Gadgil's 35 career at the laboratory. He's developed some low-cost solutions to some of the world's most intractable problems, especially those for the developing world. Includes safe drinking water technologies, energy-efficient stoves, ways to make efficient electric lighting affordable. And a few weeks ago at that event, President Biden honored Ashok with the highest honor for technological achievement, the National Medal of Technology and Innovation. He's the second person at the laboratory to get that. And the first was Art Rosenfeld, that we all know. And who was Ashok's thesis advisor as well. So it is a remarkable story. So our award, which we did announce before the White House, by the way, the Lifetime Achievement Award honors his exceptional career-long and unwavering commitment to create technological innovations that have had profoundly benefited the health and dignity of low-resource communities around the world. His commitment to addressing urgent humanitarian crises epitomizes this laboratory's mission of bringing science solutions to the world. Nothing captures it better than this. And fortunately, to tell the story, we have a video ready to go. And so we're going to play that video now.
I grew up in a small apartment in Mumbai. After I came to the US, I was simply dazzled by what I saw as US affluence relative to the conditions in which I was growing up. And I thought everybody should have that. I had already started working with Art Rosenfeld, who was a physics professor who was mostly working at the lab. And that got me to switch to applied physics after I finished my PhD. I immediately joined Berkeley Lab as a staff scientist.
From early on, Ashok was always thinking about, ideas to reduce, exposures and help the rural poor in developing countries.
I was itching to do something that would have a larger societal impact. So I started looking at what can be done to disinfect drinking water affordably, robustly, reliably. But the technology must work, not just in the lab, but actually must work in the field.
I don't think I've met many people as passionate as Ashok about wanting to help others that don't have the resources to help themselves necessarily. You also have to have tremendous will and determination and patience and perseverance.
The women in the Darfur camps get food, but they don't get fuel. And therefore they must leave the safety of the camps to collect firewood. So the goal was how to build a stove that is very easy and lightweight to transport, very easy to build. It has gone on to other countries in Africa, outside of Darfur as well. They have distributed about 65,000 Berkeley Darfur stoves so far.
He just generated a lot of creative ideas, but I don't think that was the key to his success. I think the key was really the process he used and his determination to make a difference. He then would take steps to assure the technology was produced and distributed, and result was many inventions that have improved the life of rural poor in the developing world.
Ashok is one of the amazing scientists that thinks about problems for humankind. President Biden said to Ashok Gadgil that he was really impressed with how Ashok dedicated his research to improving human dignity, the dignity of life.
I say to my own group, don't take on a problem unless its solution is going to benefit at least 10 million people. All we have in our hands is to try to make the world slightly better, right? If somebody tries to make the world a little better and it doesn't work, they still did the right thing. Some of my work has led to a positive impact, and sometimes it has led to a very large worldwide impact, and sometimes it has led to very small but intensely significant impact, like the lives of women in the refugee camps. Some impact in lives of people whom I have never met, who are tens of thousands of miles away. And that's incredible. That's surprising. That makes me smile.
So Ashok, come on up.
When I started, after my PhD, working at the Berkeley Lab, I was told something which I didn't quite believe, that if you want to take on large, complex problems, how bright you are matters a lot less than how well you can work with other talented people. And looking back, that was the right advice. So this recognition goes to all the people with whom I worked at all levels, people senior to me, people at my level, people junior to me, administrative, tech support, and other scientific staff. That's what the team spirit is at Berkeley Lab. And I'm so grateful I came to the right place to learn it. So thank you to everybody here.
So, so that, as you can see, that is special for us, and it was really made all of us proud to see that White House event a few weeks ago and recognize that that the nation appreciates him as well. So now let me turn over to our next presenter, Christine Person, Director of the Molecular Foundry. Come on up.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm here to present the first safety award. The first Director's Award for Safety goes to the Molecular Foundry Integrated Safety Management ISM team. Exploratory research, like we do here at Berkeley Lab, comes with challenges, specifically when it comes to safety and planning hazard responses. And specifically at the Molecular Foundry, we make new materials for which there are no processes in place. So the ISM team stepped in to develop a cross-disciplinary chemical reaction safety planning process, safety guidelines, and cross-disciplinary safety methods. The nominated team includes engineering associates from multiple facilities, and their safety practices have been successfully adapted for 3 fields of chemistry and for liquid microscopy experiments. I'd like to invite the members of this team to join me on stage as you're able. Tracy Maddox, Anne Pham, Michael Connolly on Zoom, Liana Klimansky, Rohan Dahl, and Jeff Urban. I'd like to thank this remarkable group for their significant impact on raising and promoting the culture of safety here at Berkeley Lab and beyond. Wonderful. I'd like to invite my colleague, Marianne Piet, the Associate Lab Director for Energy Technologies area, to present the next award.
So our next award is also a safety award, and this award goes to Ron Schultz. And he has also had to manage the safety of those cook stoves that you saw earlier. So he's been working with the energy technologies area for many years, leading our safety culture, as well as making major contributions to the lab. Ron is exceptional in aligning research activities and code compliance and implementing general best practices. Since joining the lab, his actions have led to profound positive impacts in the energy technologies area, as well as across the lab. He applies deep experience and industry background to the design and implementation of creative solutions to mitigate the risk of long-standing safety problems. His exceptional contributions have benefited the entire community. The recognition comes at a time when it's critical for us all to think and relearn safety practices as we return in a post-COVID environment. So please join me in welcoming Ron on stage to receive the award. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague to introduce the next award, Tom Kirkshetter for the Energy Analysis and Environmental Analysis Division.
Thank you, Marianne. So this award for outstanding achievement in societal impact recognizes the work of the interconnection team, which serves as a foundational resource for stakeholders engaged in reforming how power generators connect to the electric grid. To successfully transition to a low carbon economy, we need to connect massive amounts of clean power generators to the transmission grid. Indeed, there are tremendous numbers of renewable energy and energy storage projects that could decarbonize the grid. However, the process of connecting these clean energy resources to the grid is very complex and circular, and that is increasingly leading to multi-year delays and increasing costs. This interconnection team has produced the first comprehensive analysis of this growing problem and has raised the awareness and understanding of the critical issue. This is a team of early to mid-career researchers, but it is indeed a mighty team. And they've briefed senior leadership at DOE, senior leadership at the White House, senior leadership at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, And in fact, their work has already begun influencing the regulatory process for interconnection reform. Nobody understands this and analyzes this issue better than the Berkeley Lab team. That's a quote from one of their letters of support. And their work is indeed making a real difference in the ability to decarbonize the electricity sector. So I'd like to invite the members of the interconnection team to join me on stage to receive their award. Will Gorman, Julie Malvani-Kemp, Joe Rand, Joe Seal, and joining us by Zoom, Dana Robson. And Dana's yours is in the mail. Okay, with that, let me please ask Carol Burns, our Deputy Lab Director for Research, to come up and present the next award.
So in addition to recognizing those who we give our internal Berkeley Lab Directors Awards to, we also like to honor those who have received significant awards from the Department of Energy at this ceremony. This includes the prestigious Office of Science honor known as the Early Career Research Program Award. This $3 million award recognizes exceptional contributions in R&D, supporting the DOE and its mission. This year, DOE Early Career Awards went to 3 Berkeley Lab researchers and 1 faculty scientist. I'd like to take you a moment to tell you about the incredible projects that helped them win this award. Sam Barber is a research scientist in the Accelerator Technology and Applied Physics Division. He's working on developing next generation light sources using laser plasma accelerators, or LPAs. Sam's project develops concrete steps to extract the maximum potential of LPAs for light sources. This provides a blueprint for their integration into existing and future light source facilities. Sam's work sets the stage for game-changing developments in light sources for economically and societally important uses in research and applications. Also in the Accelerator Technology and Applied Physics Division, Lucas Brower is a research scientist working on superconducting magnet science and applications. Lucas's project will address technology gaps of a novel superconducting magnet tailored for fixed field acceleration. Lucas also received accelerator stewardship funding for a related project to test a prototype superconducting magnet. This project has the potential to reduce the overall cost of accelerator-based treatment facilities and enable faster treatment modalities. Jin Shan, a staff scientist in the Chemical Sciences Division, is looking at how chemical dynamics affect energy harvesting and large and complex renewable energy applications, such as carbon capture and the conversion of CO2 emissions into fuel. Jen's innovative project will uncover electronic structure level insights into the chemical dynamics of heterogeneous materials that consist of up to more than 10,000 atoms. Jen also received early career development LDRD funding for a synergistic project to build a digital universe that helps experimental chemists accelerate their research through real-time predictions. Michael Zurk is a faculty scientist in the Material Science Division and an assistant professor of chemistry at UC Berkeley, and received his award through his UC Berkeley affiliation. Michael's project will explore how to control the chiral properties of materials through light-matter interactions, which is a critical frontier in materials research. He plans to employ techniques such as extreme UV ultrafast spectroscopy and ultrafast electron diffraction to investigate chiral order during and following light-matter interaction. His research could pave the way for innovative applications such as optically rewritable non-volatile memories and energy-efficient computation. So I want to congratulate all of these recipients, and please join me in coming to the stage to be recognized. So now I'm going to invite my colleague, Michael Brandt, the Deputy Director for Operations, to come back to the stage.
Thank you, Carol. The Organizational Impact Award recognizes outstanding accomplishments in support of the lab's missions and strategic goals by enhancing cross-functional partnerships and collaborations, efficiency, and policy implementation. The first award goes to the Design Basis Threat Implementation Team. This team has worked over the past 3 years to protect high consequence, highly hazardous materials by installing $1.4 million worth of security controls. In addition, the team developed lab-wide policies to effectively manage special materials inventories. This work required significant coordination, and there's no doubt that it was significant because it included 10 research and operations divisions, and upon completing the work, it was recognized as a milestone in collaboration across our laboratory. The successful implementation of the Design Basis Threat Program has allowed critical research to continue because of the lab's demonstrated ability to successfully protect materials, protect our people, and the community. The end result has been improving the lab's security posture and receiving national level recognition from the site office and the DOE program office. I would like the following individuals to come to the stage as I call your name. Alyssa Brand, Michael Caron, John Christensen, Evelyn Davies, Blair Edwards, Kurt Ettinger, Vivi Fakisadu, Joel Garcia Orozco, Isaac Geslin, Stephen Goslin, Matthew Dodge Holman, Armand Huff, Martin Eisel, who would be joining us on Zoom, Ingrid Peterson, Chris Rosen, Michael Wisharoff, and Julie Zhu. Please join me in congratulating all of these people after they arrive on the stage. And they represent the core team for their significant efforts. Without their collaboration, working together to accomplish these goals, we wouldn't be able to conduct that research. Thank you very much. All right, so after that brief interruption, so now I'd like to invite Adam to come up to the stage. Adam, be really careful around these things. If we have a lot of people, bring them out this way.
Thank you, Michael. The second Organizational Impact Award goes to Richard Gregory, whose day job is leading the telephone services organization in my organization in IT here at the laboratory. But he moonlights negotiating fiendishly complicated, multi-million-dollar, often tens of millions of dollars software contracts on behalf of not just our laboratory, but on behalf of all the laboratories and often the UC campuses as well. He has saved the laboratories and the campuses conservatively tens of millions of dollars through brilliant and tenacious negotiations on behalf of our research community. One example of Richard's expertise was when at the height of the pandemic, a major collaboration vendor, the one that's on the screen, decided to suddenly remove our higher education discount, resulting in a 5 to 6x increase in our costs. We tried our best and then brought in Richard. And after months of work, Richard not only managed to convince them to extend the educational pricing, he negotiated an additional 20% discount on the existing pricing, saving the laboratory almost $5 million over the course of the contract. Escalating software and cloud costs are one of the largest challenges facing organizations today, and IT organizations in particular. But Richard's efforts have helped shield UC and DOE from many of the worst impacts, while interestingly, by putting those things in place, even at conservative organizations at laboratories like the NNSA laboratories, actually enabling their people to get easier access to these cutting edge tools like the major cloud vendors. So not only returning a dollar saving directly to them, but also enhancing the set of tools that are available. And again, this isn't actually his job, right? Richard is extraordinarily good at this. I feel personally privileged and hope that I've learned at least a little getting to watch him up close. And one of the most amazing things about Richard also is that he loves this. And like, how often do you get those two things, like exceptional good and also really enjoying it? Richard, will you please join me on stage to accept your award? I think you have to be on the road. Thank you, Richard. Let me turn this over to Dimitri, the director of the Advanced Light Source, to present the next award in this category.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Isn't this a wonderful event? Okay, so We have in this category, this is the last award, but not the least by any means. And it's an award for the ALS logistics team for developing new standards of efficiency, reliability, and flexibility that have enabled enhanced remote scientific operations at the ALS. And this has been extremely important actually during the pandemic. They have developed standards that ensure efficient sample and equipment delivery to more than 40 operating beam lines at ALS. And through their experience in shipping handling, this team has made remote user access possible. This has allowed the ALS to broaden their user base, provide more equitable access, and dramatically increase the productivity of remote user beam time. One of our users, a longtime user of ALS, has written to us and said, without the professional support of people like Kristen and Selena, it would be much more challenging. I ship large amounts of sensitive equipment from my lab at Argonne National Laboratory to make sure this equipment is ready when I arrive. They take initiative, they make sure that what needs to be done is done. Kristen and Selena, would you join me on stage? Fabulous. Thank you very much. And I'd like to hand over back to our lab director. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for the next part. So our second Lifetime Achievement Award, I'd like to introduce the work of Gary Jung, who a lot of people here at the laboratory know. He has a long history of developing computing capabilities to help advance an impressive range of science. Our NERSC and ESNet are renowned for their capabilities to enable research. And thanks to Gary, the lab also has developed an extraordinary mid-range computing capacity that has provided researchers with the infrastructure they need to operate at the highest level of science. As Bill McCurdy, the lab's first ALD for computing sciences, tells us, Gary's vision for a high-performance computing facility that was part of the lab's infrastructure seems obvious now. It's, of course, the way we work. But in 2002, it was a novel idea, and it was hard to find startup funding for it. Gary did such an outstanding job that Science IT became integral to the research infrastructure of the lab. It's just part of the way we work. And he changed the scientific ecosystem at the lab from the roots up. So fortunately, we have another one of those great videos. So we can hear more about Gary's accomplishments. So go ahead and go to the videotape.
I was able to arrive to the lab in 1979 as a summer student. They had started this working group in 2000 to take a look at the need for mid-range computing to bridge that gap between the desktop and supercomputing. And that led to the formation of the Scientific Cluster Support Group, which I started, and we got some overhead funding for that, and then we were off and running.
The needs of scientists quickly outgrew, individual computers, and the need to, in turn, build clusters of computers and connect them very tightly together so that they can pass information to each other became apparent. It was very unusual at the time Gary started to do this, that a central IT organization of any kind was supporting research computing needs. He really learned to not just meet those needs, but to anticipate those needs and sort of understand how the computing environment was evolving.
I think this was what really made me understand and appreciate, the work that we do, because at that time, then we could see how the computing was affecting their science and how they were using it and how it was like speeding it up.
The hallmark of both, I think, Gary's style and his leadership, and the hallmark of what we now look for in folks who are in the research IT space is someone who actually understands the research itself, who values research at its core, and then looks for ways to bring computation to help researchers solve problems.
What's underpinned all of Gary's contributions is a desire to find innovative solutions that enable science. That's what Gary's been about all of the time I've interacted with him.
This was at my daughter's middle school graduation. I heard one of the teachers say, there's tremendous value in somebody who makes everyone else better. That really stuck with me. That's something I try to do. And I've heard it described as servant leadership, where really the priority is on the team and the institution ahead of your own objectives.
I've been really inspired by Gary's leadership style. He has successfully built a pretty amazing team over time that's, just like he is, really focused on what the needs of researchers are and how the institution can best deploy resources to support them. As you talk to people involved in higher education, research IT, and mid-range computing, they all know Gary. I don't think that I've ever been anywhere and in a conversation about that where someone didn't know about LBNL's work and Gary himself. And I think that's a testament to how deeply embedded he's been in that community and the impact that he and his team have had on how science IT and research IT are done.
The mission of the laboratory is, that's really important to me. I used to see Steve Chu at least a couple times a week when he was director, because he would bike into work and the showers were right across from my office. And so, but I remember him when he first became secretary, he just said, our mission literally is to save the world. And so I believe that, that really makes it worthwhile being at the laboratory, that our work is that important.
I couldn't have said it any better myself about why we're here. So Gary, come on up and get your word.
Okay. Well, it's a tremendous honor for me to receive this Lifetime Achievement Award, and I deeply appreciate the recognition of my work in building the lab's institutional scientific computing program, which we now call Science IT. It's been a great privilege to have spent my career working with so many brilliant scientists and dedicated staff, dedicated to solving some of the world's most difficult problems. It's really indeed a special place. I'd like to thank some key people who have helped the scientific computing program over the years. I'd like to mention Alessandro Ciaccio from the physics division, who chaired the original mid-range computing working group and kind of kicked this all off. Bill McCurdy, who is the former ALD of computing sciences. He was the one who made the pitch to get us the original funding. And then Rocio Alvarez really pushed us to the next level. And from there, we delivered Laurentium, which everybody knows is the HPC cluster here for doing the mid-range computing. I'd also like to thank the people who supported my nomination for this award. And that includes Paul Adams, Mario Cromez, Kirsten Fagnan, David Prendergast, Jen Stringer, Shauna Dark, Ken Lutz, and Adam Stone. And of course, my group. So when I arrived to the laboratory in 1979, the first floor data center on the first floor of this building was filled with supercomputers. And then 8 years later, it wasn't. But now we have it filled once again, and it's actually past filled. And I always like to keep people on their toes now, because I'll say, we're just getting warmed up. So, thank you very much.
And you'll notice that every part of the laboratory was that list of people that it was really impressive. So congratulations again. And now let me turn it over to Natalie Rowe, the Associate Lab Director for Physical Sciences, for our next one.
Thank you, Mike. This event is always so inspiring. So it is my pleasure to introduce the first awardee in the category of early scientific career achievement. And the awardee is Sam Barber from the Accelerator Technology and Applied Physics Division. Sam arrived here in 2015 as a postdoc. He joined the Bella facility, and he is now a research scientist. We've already seen Sam up here. We mentioned earlier that he received a DOE Early Career Research Award for his project to extend the reach of light source facilities with precision laser plasma injectors. And he is also receiving the lab's Early Scientific Career Award for leading what his nominator called a multi-year technical tour de force, combining theory and experiment. And what he and his team have done is to design and build the Bella Laser Plasma Accelerator free electron laser. And they were able to build that from scratch and stabilize the laser plasma accelerator and greatly improve the electron beam quality and demonstrate gain. This work demonstrated the viability of a future compact light source. And this exceptional scientific achievement shows that a laser plasma accelerator technology is coming of age and can enable important real-world applications. So Sam, please join me on stage. All righty, great. And Carol, please come on up again.
Thanks very much. I'm extremely honored. Normally I don't get to do these, but I get to pinch hit for Paul Adams today, so I'm very excited. Kanapriya Pandey is a research scientist in biosciences who's being recognized for tackling extremely challenging problems at the intersection of computation, mathematics, and structural biology. Her work enables analysis of previously unusable data and yields high-resolution 3D reconstructions. Kanapriya's talent has been essential for several efforts at DOE's Center for Applied Mathematics for Energy Research Applications, or CAMRA, which plays an important role in several user facilities central to DOE's mission. Her work has already brought a new NIH-funded program to the laboratory, and the DOE recognizes its importance, especially in imaging at the microbe interaction level. One colleague noted that Kanapriya's mathematical fearlessness and commitment to plunging into murky experimental data has led her to produce work that others are eager to incorporate into their production environments. So please join me in honoring Kanapriya for her outstanding work. So now I think our next presenter is going to appear virtually as if by magic. So I'd like to invite Jeff Neaton, our Associate Laboratory Director for the Energy Sciences area, to present the next award.
Well, thank you, Carol. And it's an honor to present this one and also join the ceremony remotely. Thanks for the opportunity to do that. And I just wanted to also give a shout out to Gary Jung. I think it was wonderful to see that award. Congratulations, Gary. So this one, I'm very excited to present this Early Career Award. Very special one for me. A staff scientist at the Molecular Foundry since 2019, Archana Raja is one of the emerging stars in the field of 2D materials, van der Waals heterostructures, and in other next generation quantum materials. Her research has provided new pathways in controlling energy, charge, information, and the transport of those quantities within 2D solids, which are atomically thin class of materials that she can exquisitely control. This is a very highly competitive field, and in that competitive field, her work is really providing a roadmap to design novel sort of materials using 2D heterostructures. This year alone, Archana has published a series of groundbreaking papers in science and nature and nanotechnology, and has another one on the archive. Her findings suggest new approaches for designing and controlling excitons and phonons and photons in materials with unprecedented control. Archana's efforts are firmly establishing the lab and the Molecular Foundry as leading institutions for 2D materials research, and helping position LBNL as a key international player in the field of quantum information science and quantum materials. So Archana, join me on stage. Please join me in congratulating Archana on her very impressive achievements.
So next, Jonathan Carter's up.
Thanks, Mike. Afternoon, everyone. So the final recognition in this category goes to Jackie Yao, who joined the lab in late 2019 as a prestigious Alvarez Fellow in computing sciences and became a research scientist in late 2022. In the past few years, Jackie has been pivotal in positioning the lab at the forefront of microelectronic chip design. The microelectronic industry is set to consume as much as 25% of global energy consumption. And Jackie's low energy innovations are critical to our climate future, especially in the efforts to develop post-CMOS microelectronics. Jackie works seamlessly connecting theory and experiments and gives scientists access to software that will incorporate practical considerations for device design and characterization. Her expertise in electrical and computer engineering, combined with an impressive ability to master complex concepts outside her primary field, ensures that she was intimately involved in establishing the 2 DOE-funded microelectronics co-design centers at Berkeley Lab. Jackie, would you please join me on stage? And now I'd like to bring up Lady Iros, our Chief Diversity Inclusion Officer, to present the next award.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Jonathan. As many of you know, the principles of IDEA, inclusion, diversity, equity, and accountability, are the cornerstone of how those who work at the lab work with one another. True team science is built on the idea that it takes many voices, many experiences to contribute to scientific solutions. And you've seen examples of that already today with some of our awardees. It's my pleasure to present the IDEA Outreach Award to Monica Hernandez for her exemplary and sustained efforts to make the lab science more accessible. She wrote feature articles, produced videos, and engaged in social media in both English and Spanish about the diversity of researchers involved in solving quantum information science challenges at the lab. The articles were groundbreaking contributions, and among the very few pieces of information written in Spanish about the US progress on state-of-the-art QIS systems. This is a critical time to ensure not only that the growing QIS community is broadly representative, but that its opportunities are available to all. One of Monica's colleagues noted that her work has helped combat traditional stereotypes around quantum science, portraying the field as welcoming to people of color and those who don't speak English as a first language. Since Monica is joining us virtually, Helen Karamartori is here to accept her award. So Helen, will you please come up on stage and please join me in congratulating Monica for her work. And now I'd like to bring up the lab's Chief Financial Officer, Lori Sherpel, to present the next award. Thank you.
Thank you, Lady. The next IDEA Award honors its recipient for their impact on the lab community. A principal resource analyst in the energy technologies area, Rosa Rodriguez Flores has been a committed advocate of spaces and programs that promote inclusion and belonging throughout her 36-year tenure at the lab. For over 25 of those years, she has been a leader of our Latin American Native American Resource Group, or LANA. She was instrumental in reviving the group in 2018, shepherding it to a growth that will sustain it in the future. Under Rosa's leadership, the group has partnered closely with the Berkeley Lab's Government and Community Relations Office. In 2022, they promoted a booth for the first time at Oakland's famous Dia de los Muertos festival, making the lab visible to the community in a new way. Rosa has also dedicated her time to our K-12 programs, speaking with students about her career and serving as a translator for Spanish speakers. As Rosa noted, her visibility gives students, the community, and our own workforce a chance to see a Spanish-speaking person in a highly technical role. As she put it, lets them know that someone like me works at a place like this. Rosa, will you join me on stage? And please join me in honoring Rosa for her advocacy. And now I'd like to bring up our Associate Lab Director for Earth and Environmental Sciences, Bill Collins.
Thank you, Lori, and good afternoon, everyone. This IDEA Award goes to a lab-wide group for their support of career achievement and advancement for employees. Over the last 3 years, the Mentoring at LB&L team has built the critical foundations of a complex mentoring system at the lab. They have developed and promoted new programs and an ongoing initiative that enhances the lab-wide mentoring ecosystem for the benefit of all employees. Through their various mentoring programs, the team has engaged close to 400 people. The overwhelming positive feedback they've received speaks volumes about their ability to create transformative experiences for participants and to foster a culture of growth and development. Please come up to the stage as I call your name, and I should warn you, this is not in alphabetical order, so please do not get stressed out. I'm not sure what algorithm produced this sequence, but anyway, here we go. Karen Chung, Mary Barnum, Meg Rodriguez, Alex Degg, Janie Pentritz, Justin Placencia, Deb Agarwal, Anne Algren, Jerry Carmo, Carol Chen, Lisa Klaus, who's joining us virtually, Kate Colwell, Rebecca Hartman Baker, Kenneth Higa, Shannon Cotter, Nikki Humphreys, Susan Lucas, Jimmy Mai, Maria Marudas, Natasha Nelson, Asmita Patel, Brian Keeter, Amberly Rajapan, Sadiqa Sharifi, Ashley White, Anton Wajia, and Charlotte Lem Yankowitz. Wow. And I'm glad someone else who has met most of these people is handing out the awards. It looks like it's a self-organizing organism here. Please join me in recognizing this team. Thank you. For the next award, I'd like to invite to the stage my colleague, Sudeep Dusange, who's the Division Director for the National Energy Research Scientific Computing Center. Sudeep?
Okay, thank you, Bill. The scientific career category honors exceptional scientific technical contributions leading to important progress in an area of research or completion of a project. The next award goes to the super facility team for developing and demonstrating revolutionary super facility concept that combines high performance computing, networking, services and tools with a range of experimental and observational science facilities spanning multiple science domains. The team's work has been made available, new capabilities and data transfer, discovery, and sharing. They've accelerated the ability of experimental science communities, not just within Berkeley Lab, but across the DOE complex. As one colleague at the Foundry noted, without the innovative ideas and support provided by the super facility team at NERSC, my science output and that of many users would have been significantly reduced. And just as an aside, I'd also say that Oscar commonly says that the super facility project helped inspire a new initiative that they're trying to launch, the Integrated Research Infrastructure Initiative. And so before we congratulate the team, I would like to remember one of its members who recently passed. Many of you knew David Skinner. As his family said, David cared deeply about his work at LB&L and believed strongly in the positive impacts that its research and tools could have around the world. And he really was talking about super facility-like concepts at the lab before anyone else that I knew. So we really greatly miss him. So please come up to the stage as I call your name. Bill Arnett, Debbie Bard, Johannes Blosch, Shane Cannon, Ravi Chima, Shreyas Cholia, Bjorn Enders, Lisa Gerhardt, Annette Greiner, Chin Guak, Damian Hazen, Doug Jacobson, Stefan Liswinski, Jason Lee, Kelly Rowland, Chris Samuel, who's virtual, Ashwin Silverjohn, who's also virtual, Alex Sim, Corey Snavely, Lori Steffi, Roland Thomas, Gabor Toruk, Becky Totsky, and Zi Yang, who's also virtual. So please join me in honoring David's memory and congratulating the super facility team for a job well done. Okay, thank you all.
The next honoree is senior scientist Anne Almgren, who's being recognized for her leadership in algorithm development, software design, and applications that have led to transformative developments in computational science. Anne is the Applied Math Department head and the deputy director of the Exascale Computing Project's Block-Structured Adaptive Mesh Refinement Co-Design Center that develops the AMRX software. AMRX is being actively used at scale in a stunning variety of applications, including combustion, accelerators, wind farms, atmospheric modeling, astrophysics, cosmology, and epidemiology. Anne's technical contributions and project leadership within the Exascale Computing Project have been the driving force for new methodology that enables scientists across the world to develop exascale-ready simulation codes. Now, after 7 years, AMRX has created a high-performance framework for simulation, allowing the scientific community to leverage this for many kinds of applications now and for decades to come. One colleague noted that the team could not have delivered this game-changing technology without Anne. Anne, will you please join me on stage? Please join me in congratulating Anne. And now, who am I handing it off to? Oh, right, Cameron.
Thank you, Jonathan. So it's my honor to present the third award in the scientific category, which goes to a team that's developed a novel state-of-the-art computational modeling code for particle accelerators and plasmas called WarpX. So in 2016, the WarpX team was selected by DOE as one of the 25 exascale computing project collaborations across all science areas. And the team's results led to the prestigious Association for Computing Machinery Gordon Bell Prize in 2022, often known as the Oscars of supercomputing, for their outstanding results. So the WarpX team has advanced the state of the art on not just one, but three fronts. First, exascale with the development of a code that can take full advantage of new supercomputers and new architectures to compute state-of-the-art plasma physics and accelerator science. The second is with algorithms that pioneered novel numerical mechanisms adopted broadly across the community with great impact. And third is in the development of a new generation of particle accelerators, harking back to our lab's legacy, using the power of plasmas in order to explore novel concepts to extract and accelerate electrons in vastly more compact machines for new applications. The team's strong commitment to open source software and open science is inspirational as influencing groups within the DOE national laboratories and around the world. Please come up to the stage as I call your name. Anne Almgren, John Bell, Ariana Formanti, Marco Garten, Kevin Gott, Junmin Gu, Axel Hubel, Ravathi Jambanathan, Hannah Cleon, Prabhat Kumar, Remy Lehay, Andrew Myers, Ryan Sandberg, Olga Shapoval, Jean-Luc Vey, Wequan Zhang, and Eduardo Joni. Please join me in congratulating the WarpX team for their innovative approach and their great achievements in the spirit of team science. Congratulations. And for the next award category, I'd like to invite our Chief Technology Officer, Jesse Kindra, up to the stage.
It's a packed auditorium, which is great. So thank you, Cameron. The next category honors exemplary efforts in entrepreneurship, building relationships with industry, or intellectual property achievements that have an impact on society's health and economy. Our first awardee is Lee Bernstein, a staff scientist leading the lab's nuclear engineering department. One of his colleagues notes that he is one of the leading figures in low energy nuclear experiments and data, bridging basic and applied science. This award is for Lee's dedication to both research and commercialization of a method for producing pure actinium-225, a radionucleotide that will likely be incorporated into promising targeted cancer therapies. Because of this potential, the demand for actinium-225 has grown exponentially, but there is just not enough available from existing sources, and we lack viable, safe production methods. Lee optimized a production method and engaged with a company for continued development. After lengthy negotiations, this technology was licensed to North Star Medical Radioisotopes. Lee was a champion of these efforts, and his engagement was essential for the licensing of this technology. Lee, would you please join me on stage for your award? Our next award goes to Melanie Sonsting, the program manager for Cyclotron Road. The Cyclotron Road program is an important way Berkeley Lab brings science solutions to the world. Since the pioneering entrepreneurship program was established in 2016, it has raised the profile of the lab's culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. This success has been due in no small part to the efforts of Melanie. As Activate's managing director, Jill Fuss, noted, Melanie is the glue that holds the Cyclotron Road program together. Melanie seamlessly shepherds the Cyclotron Road Fellows through complicated contractual agreements, matches fellows to various resources, and emphasizes the importance of safety. Every year, she integrates from 5 to 10 startups into the lab. Melanie brings her expertise and leadership to ensure the success of these entrepreneurs. The program has raised an impressive amount of follow-on funding, a little over $1 billion, a mark of success that could not have been done without Melanie. Melanie, would you please join me on stage for your award? Now I'd like to pass it back to Director Witherall.
So thank you. I should say we probably have another word for Ann Almgren as getting our first hat trick, I think, for 3 awards on one session. So Tony Spadafora, who some of us have known for some time. This category honors those who have had a history of extraordinary achievements in people leadership and resource management that enable our mission that you've heard so much today of bringing scientific solutions to the world. Since '86, when he arrived at Berkeley as a postdoc on the D0 experiment, the Fermilab experiment, Tony has assumed many roles in the leadership and management of advanced scientific projects, culminating in his present position as the Deputy Director of the Physics Division, which he's held since 2009. Few people at the lab have the breadth of experience at dealing with funding agencies, both public and private, not to mention a diverse collection of stakeholders and researchers. He's known and respected by generations of program managers in the Office of High Energy Physics and a number of other agencies and organizations. And of course, as a high energy physicist, everybody in my field knows Tony as well. He is also widely respected across the echelons of laboratory management, including the scientific operations and administrative divisions. So once more, we have a video about Tony and his contributions to the lab. So let's watch that together.
When I recruited Tony as a scientist, I wanted people in administration to deeply know what it's like to do science and what they need. And it was always my view that you want to hire great people, you want to keep great people, and Tony was an integral part of that because he was a scientist before he became my chief of staff. He understood that in his bones.
I worked very closely with Tony, and we oversaw a major expansion of our efforts into research on new topics like dark matter, cosmic microwave background, quantum information science, machine learning, and with a corresponding increase in staff to support all these new areas. And I found Tony to be the ideal partner to work with to navigate all the steps necessary to work with DOE to bring in the funding.
I think that Tony has a number of superpowers as an administrator. First and foremost, the fact that he really understands where everybody is and what everybody's trying to achieve, and all the personal connections that you need in order for a happy, thriving community to work well together. The other thing is that he also really understands the history very well. So he knows which people have developed what parts of the story in the past and who is possibly capable of doing different parts of the next stages of projects.
I think it's fair to say that QuarkNet has a special place in Tony's heart. We've been hosting QuarkNet in the physics division for 17 years now. Tony works directly with a local Bay Area high school teacher to organize the event. We learn about particle physics and cosmology and how research is conducted. And it's also a great opportunity for our early career scientists because Tony recruits them as speakers. So it's a great event that it wouldn't happen without Tony making it happen.
You know, there are not that many people in the world who can actually make things happen and who can solve the problems to allow groups of people to move ahead and, in our case, do great science as a national laboratory. And Tony is absolutely the definition of what you need for all of that. Tony does that so gracefully and with such care for other people. You know, I make a Jewish American comment to an Italian American friend. I would say that he's my idea of a real mensch. And I think that's one of the highest compliments that I know of.
So Tony.
Wow, that's hard to follow. Thank you, Mike. Well, I'm truly honored to be receiving this award. And first, I'd like to thank those who nominated me for this, the awards committee, and the entire recognition team that really makes this wonderful event happen. So I appreciate, I know all the work that went into it, and I really appreciate it. I'm especially moved to be receiving this award for stewardship at a national lab. When I was a student, I started at a national lab, actually the one down in the South Bay, and then graduated up to here. But at a national lab, I was just amazed at the very idea of such an institution devoted to science for the devoted serving humankind. That it exists is just amazing. And then the idea of contributing to the stewardship of such institutions where we care for the people, the research, the resources that make our mission possible is a great privilege we all share in, and for me has been a very, very rewarding experience. So I'd like to thank the many people over the years, too many to mention, in the physics division, throughout the lab, that have enabled me to contribute to actually the stewardship role we all play. But I have to first thank my heroes that were in the video there: Steve Chu, Natalie Rowe, Saul Perlmutter, and also many group leaders, scientists, our division directors in the physics division, Jim Segrist, with whom I've worked a long time, and especially Bob Kahn, who is here. Without Bob's help, I wouldn't be here today. So we all, I thank Bob. We all depend on others, and thank you all very much. Thank you.
So one of the fun parts of the job is, for example, being able to call Tony in and tell him that he's got this award. That was one of the better parts of my job. So I'd like to take a few minutes to thank the people who pulled this production together. So first, the nominators were very important. Thank you. And please, all of you who think of someone right now or thinking of someone who should have been up here today, get ready to nominate them for next year's awards. And to the Lab Recognitions Committee, who reviewed dozens of nominations. This committee really is all of us, representing all of us, all of the people at the laboratory and advancing these awards, and made some difficult choices. To Meg Rodriguez and Justin Placencia in their Career Pathways Office for putting all of this logistics together, and some of them are still ahead of us for the next stage. To Tiffany Wynn and Diane Wentworth for driving the awardee interviews and putting together organizing communications. To Marilyn Sargent, who produced the terrific videos you saw today. To Miles Green, who keeps us all happy here, our musicologist, and by the way, who has a birthday coming up. So let's. And I'd also like to mention Margaret Dick, who is the executive producer, writer, and chief wrangler for this organization. And finally, to all of our awardees, you have honored us by sharing your great intellect, creativity, dedication, mission, hard work. These awards testify to your ability to make this lab a much better place in all the things we do. So we celebrate you. We thank your families for all they bring to the support. And we're honored to be able to work with people like you. So thank you very much. So. And for all of you online, thanks for all of the emojis that you've contributed to this. I think we just didn't have this before the pandemic, so. And I'm talking to somebody there. What I mean. And for those of you who are in person, there are shuttles waiting outside the auditorium to take you over to building 67, because of course we don't have a cafeteria now. And so for our next stage, to continue the celebration with a reception for the entire lab community. For those who are virtual, thank you for joining us today, and go have a drink. Thank you. Okay. Very carefully, we're gone.